Of our Dharma practice is the path of opening. And it's the opening of our bodies. It's the opening of our sense doors. It's the opening of the intellect or the thought process. The opening of emotion. It's the opening of silence. How is it an opening of the body? As we sit and make space through the process of paying attention, of being aware, we find that the energy knots or the tensions which have been stored in the body begin to release. And so it makes possible a freer flow of energy. Begin to experience the body not as something solid, but as an energy system, a field of vibration. The sense doors, as you probably have noticed, become much more refined. We become much more sensitive to sound and to sight and to smell and taste and bodily sensation. As our minds become less distracted, there's tremendous sensitivity of sense perception. The thought process becomes more clear. Instead of the usual jumble of thoughts in the mind, where a lot is going on that we're not aware of, things begin to sort themselves out. We begin to get a very clear perception of how thoughts arise and pass away, what kinds of thoughts are there. That whole conceptual, intellectual apparatus of the mind becomes increasingly clear and precise. Opening to the emotions, beginning to feel more deeply and more clearly all the different mind states that arise in our unfolding experience. And opening to silence. As Munindraji has mentioned, there are 21 kinds of silence. And so there's much to open to. So our path of practice, when rightly understood, is not the practice of the mind reaching out for anything. It's not a reaching out to become. Rather, it's a settling back and opening up to our own nature, to the Buddha nature. Opening out of that Buddha center, rather than a reaching and a clinging. Understanding that provides a kind of balance in the practice which gives tremendous stability to the mind and tremendous confidence. It's not that we have to become something which we're not, but rather we have to settle back into what we are. So there's that quality of settling, relaxing, of opening. What is it that prevents this opening? Opening to the body, opening to emotions, to thoughts, to the sense doors, to the silence. When we investigate and explore this process, both of opening and the difficulties that arise in that, we begin to see that there are some very deeply conditioned fears in the mind. And fear is a limitation. Fear is a contraction. Fear is a pulling back from. It's this fear which is so strongly and deeply conditioned in the mind which hinders or obstructs the opening into each moment. Fear of what? Often this fear of pain. We don't like to feel pain. We're afraid of feeling it, and so we pull back from it, we contract. This fear of insecurity, that psychological state of being insecure, not certain. And so the mind covers that with many different strategies. There's a fear of death. For many people, not understanding the process of dying creates a tremendous source of fear or anxiety. When we begin to see and understand how fear is working in the mind, we see that not only is it a limitation and a contraction, but it also has a very powerful role in further conditioning the mind. For example, it's fear of losing what we want or what we have that is a strong conditioning agent for attachment. Why do we hold on so tightly? Why do we cling? Why do we grasp? Out of that fear of losing something, losing what we have. The fear of losing what we have conditions attachment. The fear of getting what we don't want conditions resistance or aversion. When we contemplate some experience coming to us that we don't want to have, the fear of that conditions a strong resistance in the mind. Chuang Tzu, the famous ancient Chinese sage, Taoist sage, said little fears cause anxiety and big fears cause panic. So it's a strong force in the mind. It's an elemental force. Working with this fear is absolutely essential in our practice of understanding.